Is up? What is up? Make sure this is going live. This new version of live, it doesn't go live right away, so I can never tell if I'm actually live or if I'm about to go live, but I'm definitely live now because it tells me. Anyway, welcome, Bob Clark here, and this is going to be a little longer Facebook Live, but one I think it'd be really useful to you if you want to gain my wisdom, if you will, if I can say that I have wisdom, on what exactly you need to do in your business if you want to either A, get out of your job sooner rather than later, right? Or B, you want to retire early. Okay, I was in the second category. I was able to build my business and retire years ahead of schedule from my healthcare career. And I'm grateful that I was able to do that. And here I am, thank goodness, because I used to work in a hospital in New York City, which is now overrun with the COVID thing, and just happy that I'm out of there, honestly. So I want to talk to you today about my experiences and my wisdom, if you will, on what exactly you have to do to achieve those goals, right? To either get out of your job or to retire early. And I have, I've been doing this home business thing for 9 to 10 years now. And I started it back in 2009, I believe, with the idea that I'd build it to a point where when I was ready to leave my career, I could. And that's exactly what happened. And I retired a little bit earlier because my job was coming to the point where I just wasn't having much fun anymore. That's a story for another day. So before I start telling you what you should do, let me tell you what you shouldn't do. And I'm going to tell you, I made a lot of mistakes. And I just want to kind of give you 4 of them so that if you're doing them, you can stop doing them. And if you're not doing them, you can avoid them. All right. Number 1, I was from the start, an avid learner, and an underachiever at implementing. Okay. So what I would do is I realized, so I'm a big believer in education, right? And I spent a lot of time in high school, college, graduate school, postgrad, all that stuff. And so I understand the value of learning, right? So when I got into the business area, I knew nothing. I knew zilch. Nobody in my house was an entrepreneur. None of my friends really had a business, right? Everybody had jobs. They were employees. Everybody, my circle, right? My parents, my family, my circle of friends were all employees or had been employees. So I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about marketing. So I said to myself, I have to learn. So I started getting on webinars. Fantastic. Webinars had really hit the ground, really popular back then, more so than now. And I started getting on webinars almost every single night. Okay, how to do this, how to do that. All kinds of marketing, all kinds of business. Anything that I thought that I might need to know, I was on a webinar. Taking notes. I have drawers full of notes from years ago, that I've kept just because they represent work that I've done. And I've gone back and used some of those notes to actually do Facebook Live to teach people. So it's been useful. But that's after the fact, right? Back then, I would spend a lot of time on webinars and I'd implement nothing. Very little to implement under the guise of I'm learning. And it took my wife actually to kind of get me to see the light. One day, several months after I'd started this nonsense of going to webinars every night, I came to bed one night and she's like, did you get a lot of stuff done for your business? And I said, yeah, I learned this and this and this and this. She's like, did you make any money? When your wife starts asking you questions like that, it's time to take a look at what you're doing, right? So that was mistake number 1. Avid learner, poor implementer. That was me. Mistake number 2, I gravitated, and this is human nature, I gravitated to activities in my business that I liked. No, I did not. I went to Cresskill High School in New Jersey. Cindy, how are you? I gravitated toward activities that I liked and avoided those activities that I didn't like, which is human nature, right? The only problem is Many times in business and probably in life also, it's the activities you don't like that will get the results that you want. Okay, for example, back in the day, I was in MLM. I was in a network marketing company. And I decided early on that I didn't like prospecting, so I was going to do marketing, which is all well and good, except we all know that if you want to get results faster, you got to prospect, right? So I decided not to do that, and it took me a long time to get any results because I was relying solely on marketing, right? And I wasn't that good at it. So as a result, my results curve went like this, right? Nothing, 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 a little bit, right? And the nothing was actually years. I'm ashamed to say. The nothing in terms of results was actually years because I wasn't doing the activities that I need to do to get results, right? Sooner rather than later. The activities were fine that I were doing for long term, but they weren't good for short term, right? So I gravitated to the activities that felt safer to me, and I moved away from the activities that seemed hard to me or risked someone making fun of me or just didn't feel safe to me, right? Human nature, yes. Good for business? No. Right? So that was mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, I underestimated the critical importance of mindset. I kind of just poo-pooed mindset, right? I was like, just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And any coach will tell you that, like a coaching client that tells you that, you got a long way to go with that person. Because it's never an aspect of tell me what to do and I'll do it if that person doesn't have the belief, the self-belief, the self-confidence, and the wisdom to do it correctly. And so I underestimated the importance of mindset, specifically that whole transition from employee to entrepreneur and back, right? I mean, I would literally, spend all day, as many of you guys do, spend all day, or did before the virus, right? I'd spend all day as an employee. I'd come home and have to switch over to being an entrepreneur in that mindset, and then switch back the next morning. And that's a really hard transition. I don't care what anybody tells you, to make that transition the way you need to is not that easy. So I totally underestimated that. And then number 4, in terms of skills, I learned wide and not deep. So in other words, I learned a lot of skills, but I learned a little about a lot of skills, right? But I didn't learn a lot about one skill or 2 skills. That's what I mean by going deep. You'll get far faster results in your business if you go deeper in your skills rather than wide. If you know a lot about 1 or 2 skills, right, rather than a lot about many skills or a little about many skills, right? It's called being, mediocre at many, expert at none. Yeah. Hey, Cindy, thanks for sharing. Appreciate that. Good to see you. I don't think I've seen you on my live before, so it's fantastic to see you. We'll have to catch up later. So those were the big mistakes that I made, okay? Now, interestingly, I'm going to plug my course here, just so you know. I have released a course just now. It's the best course I've ever done. It's just for part-timers, okay? And it's called the Part-Time Profit Machine. And interestingly, the first 3 modules are about the mistakes that I made, okay? The first module talks all about your mindset, shifting from employee to entrepreneur and back. All right? The second module talks all about your time, right? All about your time, how to focus it, because that's a big problem, right? It's not the amount of time you have for your business, it's how you focus it. Second module is all about that, like 4 or 5 videos just on it. And the third module is finding out the one thing in your business, right? The one thing in your business that have the most impact and doing that, right? And I focus on prospecting in module 3 because for most people, that's what it is. But it could be anything. So the first 3 modules of that course, it's a total of 6 modules. The first 3 cover just about the mistakes I was just talking about. If you want some help with that, if you want to take a look at that course, I highly urge you to. It's at ptprofitmachine.com. Victor, maybe you can put that in the comments for me. Hey, Victor, good to see you, man. Victor's one of my regulars. Love seeing him. And I got a first-timer, Cindy, here, so I'm really happy here. This is awesome. I watched a couple of my videos this morning. I'm honored. I'm honored that I know time is valuable, so I'm honored that you took the time to watch some of my videos. Like I said, Cindy, we'll catch up after. PTProfitMachine.com is my new course right now. I do have some spots left in my bonus, which is free 4-week coaching workshop with me. That's included as part of the course. So if you want to do that, it's open through Sunday, PTProfitMachine.com. Okay, so those are the mistakes. Those are the 4 mistakes I made. Let me shift now, and let me talk to you about what I did right. The steps that I took that were right, okay, that got me on the way to retiring years ahead of schedule. Number 1 is I really understood early the value of a coach or a mentor. Okay, I understood that early. Very early on, I understood that if I wanted to go faster in my business, I needed to find someone who A, knew or had already done what I was trying to do, and B, was able to teach it, because not everybody is, right? So I spent a little bit of time investigating different people, looking at different people, and found people that I resonated with. And my very first coach I hired was when I had made zero money. Okay, I hired a coach and I made zero money, which is exactly what you need to do if you're not making money, if you can, if your budget allows it. But I hired a coach, Vanessa Duplessis, never forget her. She's still an awesome friend of mine. And I hired Vanessa to show me how to make my first dollars online. And darn it, she did it. She did it. So within a few months, I think, of coaching with her, I had made my first dollars online. And from there, I was hooked on the coaching thing. Right? From there, I found the people who were best at what they did that I could afford at the time. Okay? And I hired them to show me how they did it. And that was, for me, so I told you my results were like this and then a little bit higher, right? That's when my results started to go up. And it's not always a straight meteoric rise up. It's always up and down, right? But that's where I started to really see the difference, because I started hiring people who knew how to coach. That's a key, and who had done what I was trying to do, right? So I hired people. I hired people like Vanessa. I hired people like Mark Harbert when I wanted to learn videos. I hired people like Adam Holland when I wanted to learn about video ads. I hired Norbert Orlowitz. I hired Ray Higdon. I hired Dan Hochman. Right, as I got higher up, right, I started hiring more coaches who are higher up on the coaching ladder, if you would. So yeah, so you find the best person who knows what you're doing, right? Who knows what you're trying to do, who's done it, and who can teach you, and you hire the best person you can at whatever budget you have. And I can't guarantee it, but I can almost guarantee it that if you do what they tell you to do, and you do the action steps, and you take action, that almost always, I mean, for me, I think it's been always that I've made more than I've invested. Okay, almost always that's true, I believe. So yeah, so that was the first thing that I got right. Okay, I told you what I got wrong. That's what I got right. The second thing I got right is I became more dedicated to the activity and less dependent on the outcome, right? When I first started, it was the opposite, right? I would always look at the outcome. If something didn't work, I took it personally. It made me feel bad. I started doubting myself. I started doubting the process, right? But when I switched that, right? When I really got into, and this is really Ray Higdon helped me with this mostly, when I switched that mentality of, do the activity, and for a while, don't look at the results, right? Just keep doing the activity, right? And eventually your success will be, in his words, will become inevitable. And I took that to heart. And I mean, the key to that is knowing the activity will get you results, right? You have to have that belief. But I knew that. I knew the activities I was doing would get me results. So I just kept doing them. And in the beginning, it didn't work, right? I didn't get a lot of results in the beginning. I started to get some results, and then my results dipped, which is a well-known phenomenon called the dip. I believe Malcolm Gladwell, wrote a book about the dip. I'm not sure about that. Somebody wrote a book about the dip. Victor probably knows. And then my results went back up. Okay, so became much more dedicated to the process than the activity. And then the third thing I would say is, early on, I understood how much easier it was to sell someone in a niche, what they need and they want, rather than trying to do it the other way around, right? So in other words, I found a niche, right? I found my niche, which was people who are building their business part-time, right? And I was in that niche, right? I was part of that, so I knew it. And I knew what they needed and wanted. So I started finding things for them, affiliate products, whatever it was, that they needed and wanted, and provided them opportunities to get that. And I started making money. Okay. Before that, I had done it the other way around, right? I didn't know my niche really. I really didn't know it. I was in a healthcare MLM trying to make it work. And I was trying to fit my wants and my needs into them, whether they needed it or not, or wanted it or not. And that didn't go well. So the point is when you know who you're selling to, right? When you know who your niche is, when you know who your tribe is, find them things that will help them and sell them that, and you'll do much better. And that took me a while to figure that out, but once I got it, I felt much better because, I didn't like quote unquote selling per se. I didn't like trying to sell stuff to people that they really didn't need or want. And in fact, it's really hard to do that, right? You'll fail miserably unless you're really good at it. And I found it much better when I could understand what people wanted in my niche and give that to them, right? Hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, guys? I think I think I explained it well enough. All right, so those are the things I did right. All right, so I did some things wrong, which I've covered first, mistakes. I did a bunch of things right, and it took me a while to get those things right. So let me just outline for you. If you're in a home business right now, and you have a job, right? Maybe you have a career, wherever you're at. If you want to leave that job sooner rather than later, or if you want to retire from your job or your career sooner rather than later, here's what I recommend you do. All right. Number one, and I know this, people have told you, and I don't know if you've really heard it or if you really take it to heart, but it's super important to choose your niche and understand what they want. Just what I said before, right? Choose your niche and understand what they want. And once you do that, things become so much easier, I'm going to tell you. So if you're struggling, it may be because you're doing it the other way around. You're trying to force products on people who don't really need them or want them, or force the fact that you're trying to get people into a business that they don't really want to get in. And it's hard. It's discouraging. And if you're part-time and you don't have that much time, it's very hard to do that when you don't have much time. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I would say, I just made this up, so I think it's about right. I would follow the 80-20 rule when it comes to learning new things, learning new skills, right? I would spend 20% of the time learning them, 80% of the time implementing what you learn. Some people say 50-50, but for me, I needed to go extreme because I was such a learner and such a bad implementer that I started going the other way. I spent 20% of the time learning something new, 80% of the time implementing what I learned. And then things started to happen. Okay, that's, in other words, get into action, but get into action much bigger than you really feel comfortable doing, right? If you're part-time, once this crisis is over, or for some reason, if you don't have a lot of time for your business, right? Whether it's a job, whether it's you're taking care of kids, whether you're homeschooling, whatever it is you're doing, right? Where your time is tight, don't spend so much time learning. Just don't do it. You'll do much better if you spend that time implementing what you know, and make your mistakes, right? And fail forward. That's my best advice for that. And then the third one, I have two more. Find a coach or mentor. I already covered that. Find somebody who's done what you're trying to do, someone who can teach it to you, and someone who fits your budget, and hire them. Don't wait to get results. I didn't wait. Okay, you don't have to. And finally, number four, become known for something, right? Before I became known as someone who helped part-timers, right? Be kind of the expert in that. I was mediocre at everything. I really wasn't known for anything. I blended into the online business landscape like everybody else out there, or like 90% of people do. And I started understanding that the people who specialize or become known for specific things are the ones that get noticed and the ones who get faster results. For example, my buddy Mark Harbert, right? Mark became known as a video marketing expert in our space. And a lot of people went to Mark, including me, if they wanted to learn how to create videos that would generate leads and sales, right? Video marketing. Mark Harbert was the guy. And Mark learned that by going deep into the skill of video marketing and learning as much as he could and implementing it and getting results himself, right? And then teaching it, right? That's one example. And then, so it could be a skill. It could be a skill. It could be specific knowledge. If you have specific knowledge about something, you kind of become known as a person who knows about this, and people will pay you to teach them or to help them understand. And so you become more of a coach or a consultant. Or it could just be a trade, all right? And that's not the strongest one, but it's a start. So you could become known as the person of integrity, the person who tells the truth, the person who doesn't bend the rules, the person who doesn't hype people, right? I'll become known as kind of that way also, right? So I'm known for helping people who are part-time to break out of that or to make headway and to get results. But I've also become known as kind of the guy who doesn't BS people, the guy who tells it like it is, the guy who doesn't hype it, the guy who will tell you what's true whether you want to hear it or not. That's kind of me, right? So you can become known for a trade as well. But the key here is become known for something, right, within your niche or within the online space, rather than trying to just do everything well, right? It's a whole knowledge thing. It's a whole drilling down thing. Thanks, Angie. You love this. Oh, Angie is here. Angie is awesome, guys. If you want any graphic work done or any kind of, and you have a new group called Sell Your Knowledge, right? Awesome. Love her group. Hook up with Angie. She's amazing. Yeah. So those are the things that I did right, and those are the points, the kind of the 4 bullet points, if you will, that to me, if you're stalled in your business part-time, or even if it's not part-time, this really applies to everybody, but especially if you're part-time, if you're stalled, if you're not where you want to be, if you're getting impatient, do those steps. Choose your niche wisely, right? Follow the 80-20 rule when it comes to learning versus implementing, right? Find a coach or mentor. If you want to hire, I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be me. Find somebody who can help you do what you want to do. And then finally, become known for something. Become known for something. And that will kind of ride you up faster on the results curve than ever before, more than anything that I can think of, right? If you need help with this, if you don't know where to turn, I do offer 30 minutes of free coaching. It's called a focus session. And you can do that. You can grab one at freefocuscall.com, freefocuscall.com. And don't hesitate. You don't need to know everything. You don't even need to have results. You just need to want to get better if you want me to help you out. Again, that's 30 minutes complimentary from me to you because I want to help. I just want to help. So guys, hope this helped you out. Guys, thank you so much for joining me live. If you're here to replay, give me a hashtag replay and I will circle around and say hello to you. And Angie, thank you. Victor, thank you. Cindy, thank you. Anybody else who didn't comment but is here live, I know your time is valuable, and I super appreciate you spending some time with me this afternoon. So, guys, I'll see you in the next live. Have an awesome day. Take care.